Wow. Okay. Today we have a guy who I know pretty well. I've known him since I first contributed for MSP Growth Hacks. Nate sent me a DM and said, "Hey, welcome to the Growth Hacks family." And he's been in the channel, I think, longer than I have. And you probably have run across him before. What I want to say about Nate before we get into the interview is Nate's company, Tech Pro Marketing, is the first lead gen agency that I have ever felt comfortable formally recommending. Now, I don't formally recommend anybody to everybody. Like, I don't think that everybody should work with a specific agency, even like Nate's. But Nate, I just want to say that I vouch for this guy, and he doesn't need me to. He's doing just fine, with or without me in his corner. But I really appreciate his honest, his earnest, his holistic perspective on generating serious, sincere conversations for MSPs. And obviously he's great at what he does. That's why he's been around for as long as he has. You can't survive. You know this, listener. You can't survive in our industry ripping people off. You don't have any longevity. And Nate has a longevity, which is the ultimate sign of true, sincere success, and that he's a real valuable asset to the community. So let's rock and roll. Nate, it's been a long time coming. I'm so glad you're finally here. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Brian. Love the first episodes that I've listened to so far. Love the professionalism of this podcast and excited to be on it.
Yeah, thanks, man. You know what? I was thinking about this the other day. You weren't one of the first people I met in the channel, but I remember when you reached out to me first. I had just done an article for Kevin for MSP Growth Hacks. And you DM'd me and you said something like, "Hey, welcome to the MSP Growth Hacks Club," or something like that. And I had seen you around and I had heard of Tech Pro, but I was like, wow, this guy actually DM'd me. Like, he just sent a nice message and that was it. And that was my first impression of you, was just a kind, normal thing. And I've been really relieved to see that that's been the thread in my whole relationship with you, that you're just a kind, normal dude. So, any thoughts on that vulnerable compliment?
Part of my motto, just be normal. And also, I think for me, collaboration with competitors and just industry peers has been a major part of my growth. I think some people know that about a little bit over 2 years ago, one of my mentors is a gentleman named Stuart Crawford, and he kind of did something similar to me about maybe 6 years earlier. He had sent me a DM, said, "Love the content you're posting. Like, you're saying something that's real. I appreciate it." Then I was not following. I don't know if anyone has seen like Cody Sanchez. She's this influencer about buying the businesses of retiring people. And in that situation where we had developed this relationship, that he had reached out to me first, just kind of like I reached out to you. When it was time for him to retire, that was actually one of the major sparks in my business, that bringing his entire client base on doubled us in size, allowed us to do so much more. So yeah, maybe you're a few years younger than me, I think, Brian, when I'm hit retirement age, maybe we'll go there.
Perfect. I love it. Okay. You'll be my sensei, and then I'll take it over and desperately try to run a marketing agency, which I do not have the skills to do. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And I remember I heard you on another podcast just saying, be normal. And one of the first things that you said that I disagreed with was when you said, "Would you ever call a stranger in real life?" Well, no. So why are you doing it for your business? You said something like that with Paul. And anyway, I was like, well, I think my version of normal is maybe different than the average person's, I guess, because calling strangers, it isn't that weird to me, but maybe it isn't weird because I've done it tens of thousands of times. But,
I think what you do when you do it is you build some type of bridge. You have some type of reason for calling, and you make it make sense. I was talking to one of our successful clients. I told you off air that they're looking to close like 12 deals this month. So I'm not going to, or this quarter. I'm not going to take credit for their 12 deals. It was them, not me, who'd made this happen. But yeah, the woman who does it, she has a networking group in her target area that she runs. And when she cold calls or when she reaches out, she's always got a strong reason for doing it. And it's not, hey, I'm some random person from some random company trying to sell you something. It's, I'm heavily involved in this community. There's a lot I want to share with you. I'd like to get to know you. And that's kind of led to it. So I think having that bridge, having that reason for reaching out can make it normal. And maybe I've softened my stance on that. Like, calls can work if you build the right bridge.
Yeah, if you can do it in a normal way, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's this term I stole from sleight of hand. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's a term in sleight of hand called justified action. So I don't love using the metaphor of sleight of hand for sales because sleight of hand is inherently deceptive, but you don't think about, that's not what I mean. Sales isn't inherently deceptive, but but in another way, think about it this way. When you're selling well, it looks like you aren't doing anything. It looks like you're being perfectly normal. You're just having a very candid conversation. The truth is that there's a lot of psychology behind every single word. You're listening really aggressively, right? There's so much intentionality behind it, but a true master of sales doesn't look like they're selling. Just like the true master of being in stand-up comedy, they look like they act as if they're coming up with this joke on the spot. But of course not. They've literally workshopped every single word dozens of times on stage to find the funniest way to say it, right? But anyway, with sleight of hand, it looks the same way because you make it look like you do nothing and you do a bunch of stuff, or you make it look like you did something, but you didn't really do it. And this concept of justified action is every time you have to move a finger or move your deck of cards around, there has to be a reason that the public can perceive why you had to touch it. Because in reality, for example, you had to do something that you had to do a move, but you had to get into position of the move, and then you had to get out of the move in a justified way. So that's what justified action means. So I've just totally stolen that term for sales. Every single customer facing touch needs to be a justified action. You never want to call and go, hello, can I have your business? It's just isn't justified, right? And it's completely self-seeking. They have no reason to engage with you. But if I could call to say, hi, I'm calling because, and have a sincere reason, all of a sudden it diffuses any of that adversarial tension that can come with a sales call, and it can feel a little bit more like a normal experience.
I think, for example, a great way to start would be doing a survey of the businesses in your target market. Hey, we're doing a survey. We want to find out the businesses in the area, which ones are using an MSP, which ones have internal IT department, what technology you're using. Maybe if you're really clever, you're going to present that at a Chamber of Commerce meeting. And you've got a really strong reason for doing it. I'm working on a presentation for my next chamber meeting. I'm a member in the chamber, and I'm doing a survey on technology. And then you get that information to even be able to sell them. You've made the first touch with someone. You can follow up on the report when it's done. Just one simple example, but absolutely, you need a reason for everything you're doing.
Yeah, I love it. And a reason that makes sense and a reason that benefits the person you're doing it with, I want to pivot. I want to pivot a little bit because this lead magnet idea you're just talking about made me think of something that we've talked about before. You guys, we have commiserated before when we're talking about our clients.
Yeah.
We've had some of those backroom sort of like, oh my gosh, can you believe this is happening sort of conversations before. And, me being a sort of a sales training program that I run and you having sort of a marketing agency that you run, you're in charge of getting the phone to ring. And my job is telling them what to do when the phone rings. So there is a sort of that's how a lot of our relationship has been formed, is we have a natural partnership. But there's been many times when you get the phone to ring and 3 days later, your MSP sends an email saying, hey, what do you want? Or how can I help? And by that time, we both know that lead is that lead is gone. There's a 20% chance that that lead is valuable, if valuable at all, right? But getting to the lead quicker, not only is just something the MSP needs to have their own basic, like, hey, there's a hot potato, there's a hot lead in your hand, and it is cooling every single second. What are you going to do with it? But talk a little bit about, tell me a little bit about some of the stuff you guys have been doing on the speed to lead stuff you've been doing, because it's really exciting.
This is something where I was maybe not a believer at first, even where I was thinking this is such a big decision that businesses need to make, that this is a B2B sale. You are going to be you're going to be dealing with multiple IT decision makers. You've got the CIO, the CTO, the CFO, the CEO, they're all the office managers, they're all going to be involved in this decision. They're going to go to proposal with multiple vendors. And a lot of the tactics that are happening in the marketing world right now, just the general marketing world, are related to speed to lead. They're related to different forms of communication. Instagram DMs are like a great marketing channel, just in general right now. TikTok DMs, texting, missed call text back, instant connect. These are all things that are really popular in the marketing space. And I think a lot of them are more in the B2C, business to consumer, and B2E, business to entrepreneur. And I think for me, I had felt like, I don't know, the MSP space, no, this is B2B. This is something where those type of things don't matter. That's not really important. And what I've learned is I'm completely wrong. And over the last 12 months, I have been focused exclusively on actually solving this problem for MSPs. So your question, what are some of the things?
Yeah. But before even that, I have a follow-up question. Allow me to interrupt you before you answer a great question. Is this trend, is this a result of the sort of fragmentation of the business unit and the sort of the siloing and individualization of decision makers, people working from their home offices? Because we're seeing that B2B and B2C are fusing together.
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, any thought, why is that happening?
I think one of the factors is like, and kind of what I maybe was talking about on that podcast that you heard earlier was more that like the younger generation doesn't accept calls as much. Where in the older generation, it was kind of normal to call people up. Nowadays, like I can't even call my best friends. They won't answer the phone. And they are like, they just text me back. Can you just text me? What do you want? And texting has become like the communication standard for a lot of people. And I think in the younger and younger that you get, there's no like calling is getting weird for some people, and they only text, they only DM, they only totally Snapchat. Right. So that was a little bit my point there, but that's one of the reasons why I think these channels are changing. The channels that you reach your prospects for is part of it is just a generational change in how we communicate with each other.
Yeah. Makes the only time a Gen Z coming into the workforce, other than their parents, going to work might be the first time they've ever called someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one thing. I think also people are no longer, like what you mentioned, the work from home, and just people are working, and just technology on our cell phones getting better. All of our business apps being on our cell phone. Yeah. People are making business calls from their cell phone. Maybe they have a, voice over IP system set up, and maybe some people are using it. But number one, maybe that one does accept texts. They do now. You can text to these voice over IP systems. But I think more often than not, for the business owners that I'm dealing with, they usually want to share their cell phone number and they say, text me. Let's communicate through text. So that has been a big change. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So B2B, B2C are merging together, fusing together. So what are some of those things you've been doing to adjust?
Number one, missed call text back. So this is a technology that's available in a lot of platforms, a lot of CRM tools, a lot of phone systems. And if for some reason someone calls your sales number, immediately text back, hey, sorry, we missed your call, and asking a follow-up question, right? Are
Okay.
you looking for IT support help? Right? Oh, yes, I am. Thanks for texting back. And if you've hit someone who's really used to texting, and straight up, like, I think everyone is used to texting right now. Even my parents, like early 80s, are texting.
Yeah.
And they're, we're talking B2C, their landscaping company, everything is communicated through text, and when they deal with a lot of their vendors in life, it's all communicated through text. So I think a missed call text back is a great one.
Mm.
Other things that we do is, missed call internal notification as well. So that if you get a missed call on whatever line it is, you get a text message to your own phone with the contact information. Use some type of scraping tool to enrich the data if you can, figure out who the phone number's from.
Mm-hmm.
We found that having a website live agent chat, not a chat bot, not an AI, and even AI is getting better, but I still feel like for MSPs, this is always going to be your competitive advantage, is having people. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of guests on that are going to talk about, having such a helpful help desk and having helpful employees is such a key to a successful MSP. I think this starts on your website. So we don't believe in just having a chat that's like, hey, if you have any questions, go here. And maybe it's an AI, maybe it's a tree, like a knowledge tree or something like that.
Yeah.
We just have a real person there that can answer some basic questions, answer questions right away. And
in fact, we need to park on this topic for a minute because I know you've got more speed lead ideas, but we need to park here for a second because first of all, on missed call text back, we cold call MSPs. Mm-hmm. My sales guy is a realtor, and he has said to me many times, it is easier to cold call consumers as a realtor than it is to cold call MSPs. He said he gets more resistance and more negativity from MSPs than he gets from consumers calling their cell phone. That is mind-blowing. First of all, MSPs, lighten up a little bit. You put your phone number on the internet, people are going to call you, okay? Just, hey, relax, okay? Yeah. You don't have to call the police if somebody cold calls you twice. You can just tell them you're not interested and you can relax. But what I was going to say is, if we hit 1 for support, you go to a support queue. You don't want to bother that guy. So the only other option we get is 2 for sales. We hit 2 for sales. Nate, we get a voicemail for 80% of the time when we hit 2 for sales. Guys, if a prospect is calling you because they want to know about you and they get a voicemail, you have lost that lead.
Yeah.
It's gone. And sure, maybe you don't answer that phone because you've got guys like me cold calling it. But you know how long it takes to tell somebody you're not interested in a cold call? 30 seconds. You do have 30 seconds to say, oh, thanks so much. I'm actually not interested at all in this. I thought this might have been a prospect. Best of luck to you guys. Hang up. If a prospect has to leave a voicemail, you are losing. I guarantee you've lost business because of that. And if your phone tree is a weird robot voice, unacceptable. If your IVR is not a real human, I think it's completely unacceptable, especially now that robots sound like humans. Use a robot that sounds like a human.
I think honestly, I just wouldn't use a phone tree. Our most successful clients don't use them. Their support, they have 2 phone numbers. Their support line goes directly to their engineers.
Yeah.
This is an amazing thing to have as a customer support feature. Our engineers pick up within an average of 3 rings, and there is no intermediary. You immediately get to the point of getting your issue solved. Yes. And your sales number, which would be a different sales number, this should get recorded into your CRM, have some of these features like the missed call text back, but definitely record it into your CRM, because how are you going to measure your results on marketing if you are not tracking who's calling you and who's hitting that sales number?
Yeah.
And then have that number ring in 4 or 5 places. Whoever's available to answer it first is going to answer it. And make sure it gets answered every time as quickly as possible. Yeah.
100%. 100%. If you do that once a year, once a year, you get a customer, you're going to pay for a full-time receptionist. You don't need a receptionist in managed services, but you need people who can answer the phone and just accept it. You run a business, or you're an administrator at a business, you need to answer the phone. You
That's it.
need to answer the phone, period. And if you don't answer the phone, they better get a text from you right away. But that's my qualm there. 100 billion% agree. It's shocking to me that they're all ripping off language from other MSPs websites, being like, we have the best support and we're the human touch and we actually care about you. And then you don't even answer the phone. And or a robot answers the phone, like, that's you on your best behavior. That's you on your first date, and you already don't care about them. That's what your prospect is seeing. So what's it going to be like when you go to the support department? Which leads me to your second issue, the live chat agent. I don't talk to AI bots. Do you know why? Because I already know for a fact it's not going to help me. Because I have a specific question and it's not in the bucketed list of what it can tell me. It's going to send me a bunch of random FAQ links and knowledge-based links and links to terms of service. No, I want to know, hey, this deal that Verizon sent me, they sent me a text. Can I trade in this phone and get that credit? Or am I eligible or not? You already have my account information. I'm already logged in. Just answer my question. And I know a robot cannot answer my question. So I don't even bother. I don't even bother. And neither do your prospect.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Have a human there be like, Jenny, parentheses, I'm a person, in there as their name or something, you know?
That's exactly our opening message. And we're working on new ones, but that's our main opening message. And it pops up. Like, we don't just let it sit there. Like, if you have a question, we want that to be the number one way they're going to reach out to you, because this is kind of the world we're in right now. This is the competition. Who's got the fastest response times? Let's show it from the very beginning. And also, I think those deals tend to close faster for MSPs. We've seen that if you respond fast and they're the person who enjoys that, then you can actually close the deal the same day, the next day, and can win more deals quickly using that methodology.
Yeah.
The agent should probably have two things available. Number one is a 15-minute calendar link to your salesperson, and making sure that it's legit and they actually have time to schedule those calls. It's also very frustrating to say, okay, I looked at the calendar. Yeah, he's available January 13th. It's like, it's 30 days away. Like, I know Christmas is coming up here, but we got to maybe get some backup salespeople or something, someone to take calls for the non-holidays. People are not going to be not want to schedule a meeting on Christmas Day, but they might want to schedule a call on December 23rd. They might, a lot of people I know work December 24th morning. It's not outrageous. It's actually a great time to do business, because that's where maybe your other businesses, the businesses who are leads for you, potential customers, maybe their business is a little bit quieter. And that's the time that they're actually going to be able to think about something that's a little bit on the back burner, like IT support. The other thing that the agent, we equip them with, is we have the agent say, if I can have Brian call you back right away, I can check if he's free right after I finish this chat. Would you like me to? If they say yes, that's where we put it through to you. And we set it up with a little automation. You press 1, you get a call, it says press 1 to connect, you press 1, and then it dials them. But, you could just easily do it any other way. And it's very impressive when we respond back to our clients and they're like, I'm still on the website right now and you're calling me. Like, I'm actually on the phone with you right now. Well, I'm literally, I didn't even close the browser window and we're on the phone. It's very impressive.
You're in sales. I mean, I've been hearing sometimes sales or MSP owners who are functioning in the sales role will say things like, I only want to talk to qualified leads. I'm like, okay, do you know what makes a lead qualified? You talk to them and you decide if they're qualified. That's what a qualified lead is. I mean, an MQL, let's talk. I mean, there's a marketing qualified lead and a sales qualified lead. Marketing's job is to find people who are raising their hand and put them in front of you. That is it. Their job is not to say, and by the way, here's our pricing, here's all of our terms, here's all the reasons you wouldn't want to buy from us. Hey, are you working with any of my competitors? When is your next contract up? What are you paying right now? You don't need any of that information from an MQL. That's a salesperson's job. A marketing person's job is to get somebody to say, I need to learn more about what you do, and put them in front of you. A salesperson's job is to say, hi, how can I help? What made you reach out today? That is your job.
It's just that I think if you're doing that, and I've heard that a lot as well, and I think if that's your attitude, you've got a few misconceptions you need to break down. Number one is the cost of an actual lead. And I get it, right? Your time is valuable. It's one of the only assets we really have when you think about it. It's our most valuable asset. It's one thing we can't get more of no matter what. It's very challenging to get more of. And I get it. You don't want to waste your time. But even if your time is worth $100 an hour, $300 an hour, $500 an hour, it's still going to make sense for you to spend 5 minutes on the phone with somebody to qualify those leads. And even if you put that into your cost per lead, this is the going rate for how much a lead costs. One of the biggest differences between local B2B, which is what MSPs are doing, and like general B2C, which is where I think this conversation is kind of talking about how these things are getting similar. But one of the major differences is the size of the total addressable market. Yeah. So the reason why leads are so expensive for managed services providers is because there is a very small total addressable market, and there's actually an increase in MSPs that is gradually or quickly growing, which is making it harder and harder and more expensive to gather these leads. So I don't care, if your time is really worth $500 an hour, then you can afford to hire somebody who's a full-time qualifier. But if it's not, you can take 5 minutes to qualify these leads. And that's the first issue. The second issue is just a selfish and unhelpful mindset. And I don't know if this is just maybe people can have success with this attitude of I can't spend 5 minutes helping somebody. But we opened this call with saying, you thanked me for that message I sent you, just being friendly and helpful. There's nothing wrong with building goodwill with businesses in your target market. For us, we offer a 1-hour strategy call with any MSP who wants it. And we're very picky on who we work with. Most of the time, we're not going to be able to work with you. You're either not going to be able to afford it. We're not going to be able to get to the results you want. Sometimes it's the perfect right fit and we end up working together. But it doesn't matter where you're at in your business. If you want to schedule that 1-hour strategy call, we're going to help you as much as we can with that 1-hour strategy call. If presidential candidates can literally go around knocking on people's doors, you can take a 15-minute qualification call. You know what I mean? And yes. I really believe that there's nothing wrong with building goodwill on a grassroots level. And I would recommend going more than 15 minutes and helping as much as you can, no matter who you talk to, as long as, they're generally in your target market or just generally seem like a nice person. If it's just some random weird person somewhere, maybe you can just say, this is weird. I don't want to talk to you.
So, yeah. Hit the nail on the head. I have not a different perspective, but I come at this through a specific lens because being somebody who helps coach MSP owners on their mindset, I'm always thinking about the real root of that mindset. I actually don't think that anybody is inherently mean as a person. They're something else, and then it manifests as that. And the number one thing it is afraid.
Yeah.
People are afraid. And so then, you know what I mean? Like anger, for example, anger is a secondary emotion. You learn that in primary school. It's not a primary emotion. Anger is a secondary evolutionary response designed to provoke you to act. That's what it is. So the first thing you are is afraid, insecure, unsure when the phone rings. And then you act angry when it wasn't exactly what you wanted it to be. But in reality, you're angry at yourself for not having the skills and the awareness and the maturity to self-regulate and to qualify that prospect. You're not mad at marketing. You're not mad at Nate because he sent you somebody who didn't have a blank check in their hand. You're mad at yourself because you didn't know how to sell. and relax, look in the mirror. But the other thing I want to say is you are never important enough to justify being inconsiderate.
So true.
There's no such thing as being important enough where you're allowed to be inconsiderate. And your time, I've actually found that people who value their time are the ones who know how to emotionally regulate, because they don't have time to get bent out of shape over this stuff. And the most successful people I know are usually the quickest to give advice. They like helping other people, right?
It's exactly right. And I think I love your attitude about teaching the people that you work with about the, root cause of a lot of this stuff, because I truly believe, and this is how it's happened in my career as an entrepreneur, as I've been introspective and grown as a person,
Right.
my business has grown at the exact same rate.
Yeah.
And I think that's something where it's exactly relevant to sales, where if you want to get better at sales, especially as an owner and doing owner-led sales, the only way is to get better as a person, uncovering past trauma. I know it sounds crazy, but uncovering past trauma and getting to a logical conclusion about it and moving past it. And I'll give one example of my past trauma that was holding me back. Okay. We're not going super dark here. Don't worry. But an example is, for me, earlier on in my entrepreneurial career, I was very focused on the weekends. And I was like, all right, yeah, TGIF, it's Friday. I'm going to have an amazing weekend. And Monday morning again, I got to get back to the grind. That was actually a trauma from my childhood, where I didn't like school. I don't know if anybody else is like me. They weren't into it. I was not into school. I was not a great student. I did not have not like I hated school. That's what I'm saying. It's not very dark, but I had a very negative view of school my whole life growing up. Then my first job was in an accounting firm, a large accounting firm after college. I kept that mindset.
Yeah.
And this mindset was stuck with me even through when I was an entrepreneur. And that makes no sense, because the only person I'm sabotaging now, I'm not getting back at my teachers by not trying hard where I'm literally hurting myself. And that took a lot of work to get through. Or I'm not saying not a lot of work, but it took a while to come to fruition and get over this habit. Now, when people are telling me, I can't wait to unwind and go on vacation, I'm like, I think maybe you're missing the amazing opportunity in front of you as an entrepreneur, which is to enjoy your work. We are some of the few people in the world that actually can enjoy it. And why I'm looking forward to Christmas break, because I don't have to get my kids ready for school. They're all going to sleep in an extra hour every morning, and I'm going to get that extra hour to work on the really cool stuff that I love doing. I'm not going to have any client emails coming in, and it's fun and exciting, and I love my work. And I really feel like, just one example of trauma, and you have kind of taught me another one, that, insecurity based off of not seeing the value in themselves and the value that they can provide to others is is coming out in the form of impatience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you.
Anytime. I could talk about this forever, because this is the thing this is the inconvenient truth of your career. By you, I don't mean Nate. I mean listener. Is that you will grow to the level of success that your personal capacity can manage. You will grow to the level of success that will not crush you. And if you want your success to increase, you need to increase your personal capacity for success.
Yeah.
And I don't mean your greed. I mean, greed is just shame, and shame is a very powerful motivator. In fact, many sales coaches want you, the MSP, to use shame and fear to motivate your prospects to buy from you. Just like they want you to use shame of being a failure to motivate you to sell more. It can be a very powerful motivator, but with it comes all of these limitations. Shame is like this thing that sutures its way into your life and then slowly suffocates, because every time you try to grow, it constricts you. So when you find whatever your personal why is, whatever your relationship to the world around you, that realizing that you're part of something bigger than yourself. I don't want to get too meta or woo-woo here because I'm going to lose a bunch of the audience. But the reality is, I'm not telling you to go follow a Sherpa up, some guided like yoga tour. That's not what I'm telling you to do. What I'm telling you to do is to be honest and look at yourself and realize that if you have plateaued in your business, in your career, in your marriage, in your friendships, it is because you have hit your personal capacity for more. To the degree that you have, like a friend used to say, the extent of your character equals the extent of your relationships. If you don't have deep relationships, it's because you haven't deepened your true character. So you got to find like, what am I doing wrong? How can I improve as a person? And that can turn into a shame festival very quickly when you start looking introspectively. Like there is a fine line where instead of just saying everything is my fault, well, everything is your fault, but that's good news. It's not bad news. So
that means you can control everything.
Yes, you can do whatever is your fault, you can address. The things that are not your fault, you have to accept. And that's a powerful statement in and of itself, like learning to accept the things that are outside of your control. Like, for example, the quality of the MQL that comes in. Well, you can't control that. You can control your emotional state as you engage with them. Don't blow them off. Anybody who big times other people, like
that's the word.
If you're big timing other people, it doesn't make you look important. It makes you look small.
Big timing is a form of bullying. This is what I tell my kids every day when I see them bullying each other. Say, did someone bully you at school? Because the reason why people do this to other people is because someone else did it to them. Why don't you do that? Nobody bullied me at school. I'm like, well, then don't act that way, and dealing that with 8-year-olds, but it's the truth.
But with our 50-year-old CEOs, it's the same thing because we're all just a little 8-year-old inside. Whether you love it or hate it, we are. But I remember I was cold calling this one time, and I cold called this guy, and he ran a machine, a car, like a mechanic shop. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Listen, I remember this so distinctly, almost verbatim." He's like, "Listen, I'm taking this call, but I want you to know my time is valuable. You have it's unbelievable how valuable it's. You don't even know how much it's costing me to even tell you this right now." And I'm like, okay, he's doing $200,000 a year in his machine shop. The guy's probably clearing 30 grand. Buddy, you sound so scared. So I'm like, okay, well, clearly you don't have time for this then. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, are we doing this or not? And I think I went to the next step. I don't think I closed that deal because he couldn't afford it. Like it wasn't valuable enough for you to be able to afford anything. That's another thing that there's a personal qualm. When people try to big time you and then give you the budget objection in the same conversation. They tell you how amazingly successful they are, but then they say they can't afford your services. Well, which is it? Are you rich or poor?
It's one of those things where, we probably see this mantra a lot in the MSP space and all of business. And it's, something like, maybe I'm saying it wrong. You might know it. It's something like charge what you deserve, charge what you're worth, that you have to charge what you're worth. And I think it's great. Like, I don't want people who are delivering amazing value undercharging for it. But I feel like this one gets really mixed up and they don't work on the what you're worth part before they work on the charge part. And I think the truth of the matter is, I want you to charge what you're worth, actually. So find a way to deliver amazing value, grow as an entrepreneur, grow as a business person in the way that you're no longer just selling copycat services, reselling other people's stuff, but actually delivering value in a unique way that is worth more and that is not taking more resources, each time that you do it. So I want people to charge what they're worth, but it's not saying charge what you're worth as a human being. I think we're all worth so much as a human being.
Yeah.
So if like you took it that way, you'd have to charge, you wouldn't be able to, no one would buy what you're doing because we're all very, very valuable people. It's charge what you're worth in the service that you're delivering. And yeah, that guy's a little bit mixed up here because he's obviously not delivering. Sorry, machine shop guy out there. He's obviously not delivering the service that's getting him the money that he deserves as a person. So if he's listening, yeah.
I mean, I doubt his business is still open, frankly. But I wish him all the success, and hopefully he's onto something else. Charge what you're worth, but don't find your worth in what you charge. And if you find your worth in what you charge, then your worth is subjective, and it changes every day. When you're selling big projects, you're on top of the world. When you lose a project, you think you've lost as a person, right? It's like, I think I love that. Charge what you're worth 100%. But if you don't know your worth, then you have to find your worth in things like how much money you make. Yeah, and that's a really, exactly really bad place to find your self-value.
Yes. Don't define your worth by what you charge. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. I love that we started here talking about, hey, tactical speed to lead things. And of course, it always descends or ascends or transcends, depending on your perspective, into therapy every time. Because we're going to come back, actually, we're going to talk about this. If I can use the term inner work, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Some of the internal work that you could do to increase your sales performance. But I want to pivot here because you have you've given us already a lot of really practical processes and ideas to increase our speed to lead on the external side. We're going to come back to the internal in just a second, but for an MSP who's going, I need to get to the leads faster. I need to get more leads. I need to, whatever. I want to lower my bar. I don't want to be in my own way. Any more of this sort of things that they could be doing in the business to improve in those areas?
I would say on the very front end, we've talked about a lot. There's more small nuances, making your phone number visible in as many places as possible, allowing people to contact you in the method that is comfortable for them. We have found 35% of people prefer to call. That's our number one source. And I was actually a little bit surprised, but making it easy for them to call. 21% prefer to chat on a website. I think that number is going up. Mm-hmm. About 2% prefer to find your email address and send you an email. The rest prefer to fill out a website form. So that would be the other thing, is making sure that your website forms are really easy, and that, our philosophy is that you want to make a very simple form. This is another one of those things. This is probably a little bit psychological. I see a lot of MSPs on their website forms. I need to know how many users they have. I need to know how much they're currently spending. I need to know this, or else I'm not taking the call. And let's forget about all that. Let's just get them to fill out the form, and you can qualify them and tell them no on that 15-minute qualification call.
Yeah. 100%. I love it. Okay. So these are some of the external things. If I could pivot here, or let's drill one layer deeper now.
Yeah.
If you're an MSP, you're listening to this. First of all, as amazing as this advice is, you've probably heard some of this before. Maybe all of it before, right? We're not claiming to be inventing the wheel here, right? This is great advice, but you might have heard it. Now, my question is, if you've heard these pieces of advice, but you haven't executed them, now we need to talk about the inner stuff. Like in Feel Good Close, we call this the invisible wall. There is a list of things you should do that you're aware of. I got to get to that. I should be doing this. I should be exercising more. I should be nicer to my kids, whatever. I should be calling my leads faster. But those are tasks that without external intervention, you may never achieve, because they're on the other side of a wall. But in reality, There's not really a wall there. You could reach through, but it seems it's impenetrable. It's an invisible wall. That wall is belief. That wall is a series of bricks which each represent things that you're believing that are hindering you from doing the things that you should be doing, that you know what I mean? You have a conscious list of shoulds. I should do this. I should do this. I've been meaning to do this. I got to do that. And the convenient blank check is I don't have time. But how long do you want to have an excuse versus having results? I remember one time I was in high school and I mean, I'm a bit of a wordsmith and I'm a master bullshitter. Yeah. Okay. And as a young man, I'm not kidding. I could talk my way out of just about anything. Sometimes I would almost set myself up in precarious situations just to see if I could get out of it. Okay. And that's a whole other episode. If we ever want to dive into my sabotaging beliefs,
yeah,
I'll tell you the story of walking into a Costco with an open beer in my hand. But we don't have time to dig into all my childhood issues. Hang on, I lost my train of thought thinking about beer and Costco. What was I talking about? I had a good one.
The limiting belief, the one that you were talking about was lack of time.
Thank you. Lack of time. I remember I was in high school one time and it was a thing I was really supposed to do. It was a small thing and I showed up and I had this beautiful, eloquent reason why I didn't have time. And the guy I was supposed to turn it into goes, okay, did you go to sleep last night? Yeah. He goes, could you have done that 10 minutes later? Yes or no? Yeah. So you could have gotten 7 hours and 50 minutes of sleep. And you'd have about almost exactly the same amount of energy you have now. The difference is you would have done what you were supposed to do. And of course, I hated it at the time because I was a smug teenager, but I have never forgotten that moment.
Yeah.
And that was like my brittle illusion of I'm too self-important, too busy to do the things that I'm afraid of doing, and realizing, no, you're not. You're just afraid. You're not too busy. You're afraid.
We, in my high school, we had like one amazing teacher, Mr. Bates, and he only taught seniors who could drive to school already. And he taught a psychology class, and there was a big snowstorm one day. We all showed up like halfway through the class, and he's like, "Are you guys are all late?" He was going to be a tardy or whatever. And we're like, no, Mr. Bates, like we all had to clean off our car. Like there was a huge snowstorm, don't you know? And he's like, let me like explain how the world works. You check the weather the night before. If there's going to be a snowstorm, you wake up 30 minutes early, you clean off your car. This is how people do it. Like, yeah. Oh, thank you.
Exactly. And look, these are the beliefs. Like the wall is not, the wall is something that you'll take your whole life. I think it's sort of it's an evolving, everlasting, healing is a perpetual job. You never arrive as a human being. Like you've always got things to work on, but brick by brick, you can start tearing down that wall and making it easier for you to get to the things on the other side. Do we have any practical advice for folks who, if they've got, let's call them limiting beliefs, if they've got unhelpful mindsets, if they've been big timing and they're feeling very humbled and embarrassed right now and realizing, oh, whoa, maybe I'm the problem. Yeah. Do we have any advice? I mean, obviously you've done a lot of your work. Anything practical you think you can share?
2 things. I think the first one is this belief of, but that won't work for my business. And this is something that not just MSPs, every business has. And it's not true. Like, I think a lot of us who are marketers and salespeople, a lot of MSPs, we've all read the most popular 2 business books over the last 3 or 4 years, Alex Hormozy's $100 Million series, where in the first one, he explains how to create an offer. And what I hear from MSPs when they read that book, that's great, but he ran a fitness business. That's great, but he was selling supplements. For IT support, you can't do that. And I'm also in a marketing agency peer group as well. But that's great. But I run a marketing agency. I can't do that. No, I just do branding. I just do web design. I can't do that. I think, not to toot our own horns or anything, but I think me and you are two people that have kind of taken what we started with. We each probably started with a different service.
Uh-huh.
We've learned the market. We've learned new technical skills, right? There's not just emotional. Like for me, I started by making websites for MSPs just like every other website designer. But when I started working on my offer, I realized that this speed to lead stuff, just one element, was something the market really needed. And I actually learned new skills. I actually learned how to do all of the technical work behind that. And when I look at MSPs, I see a lot of them are limited to, well, there's no vendor that I can resell that service for. Or they do the worst thing is, instead of trying to solve a problem in the marketplace, what they're trying to do is sell a service that somebody is offering them a markup on. And I think the big limiting belief behind that is, it's maybe manifesting itself as that won't work for my business. It's really, I can't create value in the market. And as an entrepreneur, this is how you succeed, by creating value in the marketplace. As an individual, this is how you succeed, by putting value into the world. So that is definitely the first limiting belief, is get this mindset of, no, but MSPs don't do that. No. That's not just reselling Microsoft 365 and providing help desk support. I can't do a review of my client's SaaS tools and try to find them $500 to save per month. You absolutely can. You know what I mean? Like, we all probably do it in our own businesses, right? No, I can't add an automation in my clients' processes that are going to save them 10 hours a week. I'm literally telling you how to do it for your business right now. Can you just mimic that skill and do it for your own? I can't solve a unique problem in my market. You absolutely can. If you got this far, or you really have a desire to grow, like, you're going to have to solve unique challenges.
Yeah.
And it won't work for my business. Yeah, it won't work for your business as is. You need to change your business if you want to succeed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so well put. I think this is so acute to what you're describing. And we could talk about all the ways that the PSA vendors have sort of commoditized our industry, and that every MSP is essentially a VAR at this point. They're just selling other people's tools and desperately trying to get their clients to let them add a $5 agent to their per seat thing, and argue, and then whining that of course it doesn't work. I've said this so many times, and I think most people I still don't think understand what I'm saying. I think the future of managed services is no code, low code, because that's what people need. Listen, firewalls won't exist in 20 years. Like, it's not going to be a thing anymore. I'm not saying that service isn't still going to be critical. What I'm telling you is that cloud computing will become so household. You know what I'm saying? Like, just resetting ubiquity access points for people and then trying to sell them a Palo Alto physical box. No shame on either of those vendors or pieces of hardware. And then being like, let me mark up my RMM agent and my EDR. Nobody needs you to do that in 10 years. My business right now, I'll tell you right now, I don't need an MSP in its current state. And it's not because I don't understand the value of managed services. I just don't need one. I have my own password manager. I know how to keep it. We have MFA on everything. I've got my cyber insurance. I'm a work from anywhere business. Well, I'm a bring your own device business. What the hell is the average MSP going to do for me? Nothing.
I have 55 team members, and we have an MSP that does very, very little. We have a very limited scope. The number one reason why we're working with them is because we just want to know what it's like to have an MSP. Because we're marketing the services, we want to be a customer. But I have 55 team members. We don't need one.
No.
I 100% agree with you. And
you just don't. So if you're saying, well, but nobody, blah, 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 you're whining because nobody wants your product. Sell a better product.
Yeah.
Change it. Or listen to, here's my analogy. And I know I'm going on and on about this, but this is the analogy I've been using lately. We've got all these tools. Great. You have your tech stack, your happy little tech stack. I'm so happy for you. Your tech stack is your paint. A painter does not walk up to a homeowner and say, hello, I have beautiful paint. Would you like to buy my paint? And for additional consulting services, I'll rub it on the walls for you. That doesn't make sense. Painters don't sell paint. Painters sell beautiful living rooms. They sell making a new home your own. They sell nesting. They sell changes of seasons. They sell staying current with times, being relevant. You see what I'm saying? They sell making your friends jealous. That's what painters sell. That's what interior designers sell. Interior designers don't sell pillows. They sell vibes.
Yeah.
And how do they give you the vibes? With really expensive pillows. You don't sell EDR. You don't sell RMM agents. You sell cyber preparedness, forward thinking. You sell getting that person a TED Talk one day because they were the best in the industry. You sell making all of their college friends jealous. That's what you sell as an MSP. Yes, everybody needs that. You just have no freaking clue how to explain it. So you're explaining people, would you like to buy my paint and pay me to rub it on the walls? That is a terrible way of explaining managed services. Many businesses do need what you sell, and they need what you could be doing for them, but you are so bad at selling it that you think that it's a marketplace problem or a saturation problem. It isn't. You think what Nate and I do isn't saturated? I would argue it's even more saturated, and even worse, everybody hates marketing people. Everybody hates salespeople because they automatically assume we're hucksters.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
And it's an issue of niching down, and not just how a lot of people in the MSP space view niching of basically, I'm going to go after this target, but do the same stack and do the same offering that I do for everybody else. It's the reason why, I think me and you, like, people generally they hate sales and marketers, but I think for us within our market, we have a positive relationship with our market. We have lots of goodwill in our market because we're creating unique solutions for this market, and we've separated ourselves from 99% of the other marketers and salespeople out there because they haven't taken the time, they haven't put the thought and effort into creating a unique solution that's going to work to solve their problem.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Niching down is not about hacking up and just taking your TAM and reducing it by 80% and then putting really lawyers, the word lawyer all over your website. That's not niching down. I mean, that might be verticalizing, but even still, not really, because a lawyer still has to have a reason to pick you over everybody else.
Yeah.
And as a generalist in MSP, I ate people's lunch all the time. I took law offices from law-only MSPs because I understood how to explain value and what we do. You know what I mean? And I would say things like, well, hey, just so you know, Mr. Lawyer, I mean, I have law clients I'm happy to connect you with, but just to be clear, I think it would be a huge disservice to you if I only helped other lawyers. That's how industries get into echo chambers. No, I know best practices for every industry, and I get to Frankenstein together the best possible way of managing a network. Do you really want somebody who only does one thing over and over again, or somebody who has input from multiple sources? Otherwise, my intelligence would become incestuous. And they go, oh my God, that's a great point. Where do I sign?
And that's one thing that's kind of been a major focus for me as a marketer in the MSP space. Is there was a period where I kind of entered a little bit of the echo chamber, and I started doing a little bit of Me Too marketing. These guys are having success with MSPs, so this is how it works with MSPs. What I've learned is that actually, like the stuff we started talking about on the call, is that now I'm taking things from how landscapers are doing marketing and applying it to MSPs. I'm taking things how dentists are doing marketing, and I'm applying it to MSPs with our appointment reminder funnels and things like that. And as long as I keep my mind open to it, that's what helps the most. And there's a time and place to have the industry experts. But for example, we're doing two we're doing a training next month with our members, and I'm having a friend of mine come in to do the training. And a friend of mine, his name is Peter Rushdie. He's one of my business besties or whatever. He runs a marketing agency that serves, this is amazing niching. He serves the radon detection niche. So some of you guys know what radon is. Some of you guys know what radon detection is. If you don't, you understand that a really good niche is something that people might not know what it is, but there are thousands of radon detection businesses across the US. Within 2 years of niching, he became the number one. He texted me the other day. He said, Nate, how do you onboard 15 clients in one go? And I was like, what did you do, Peter? He texted me back. He said, Nate, I've been practicing a strategy that I'm working on. It's called gift-based outbound. And what this is, and he's going to tell it, he's going to share it with our group, and I can come back, or you can have Peter on this show. He's an awesome marketer. But the concept of it, and then I'll get back to my point, is that he chooses his ideal clients, and he, instead of sending them, clunky mail or some of the other stuff that we see very common in the MSP marketing space for mailers, he sends them a gift that they actually are going to use, that they actually want. And then he has a follow-up email and call cadence. And here's the key to it. He puts them on this cadence for 3 years. They get 4 gifts a year for 3 years. If at the end of the 3 years they didn't sign up, he takes them off the list. But I just think about how this could work for a good MSP who's really serious about doing this. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine you hit your ideal client up, you send them something amazing every 3 months? Like, you should win 80% of that. And Peter's winning like 100% of it in his niche. So this is an example of the it won't work for my business fallacy, the echo chamber of MSP space, and this idea of providing real value to your clients all mixed together. So I think number one, if you just want to take that idea, everybody, and run with it, I think that's amazing. But I don't know, it was very unique, very creative. It helped him grow. MSPs can use it, but back to our point, it's just an example of not being in the echo chamber,
Yeah. Even if, $100 gift, let's say this, $100 gift, that's a pretty decent gift. 3 years, that's $1,200 total quarterly, right? So let's say you convert 33% of those. That's $3,600 for a customer. That's, what is that, half or 30% of the average customer acquisition cost for MSP?
And, you're actually sending somebody something useful instead of, spending. Does Google need more of your ads dollars? You know what I mean?
Right. Or pay me $1,000 to write 2 emails for you,
I'll take it, but
yeah,
send them something.
Oh man, it's so amazing. And the last thing I want to say before, I know I've kept you way longer than I should have, but I just want to end this with a compliment to you, is that you have changed over time as a marketer, as a product. Even like opinions change over time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that opinions are wrong. It means that we collect new information, context changes, We're in a weird age, like era of humanity, where everything we do is going into the record. But the way I cold called in 2020 is very different than the way I do it today. Therefore, the way I taught cold calling is very different. Why? Because the world is very different than it was in 2020. Now as we're in 2025. So anyway, Nate, I think it's, one of the 7 characteristics of living things is that they respond to their environment and change over time. And the sign that you are alive as a business, as an entrepreneur, as a person, is that you change over time. It's a massive sign of strength. And I just want to give that as a kudos to you. You've been a real asset, both to the culture of the channel and I think to the results. I think you got helped somebody get 12 logos in 1 quarter. I think at my best, we were doing 25 customers a year, maybe. which is breakneck speed. And it's pretty amazing what you're doing. So I just want to say thank you. Not only thank you for the time today, but thank you for always being such a great resource and friend to me, and a resource and friend to the channel.
This was so much fun. I've learned so much on this call. So I will probably, once this podcast launches, I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to add a lot of the points that you made into my repertoire. So many gold nuggets. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. Come back anytime. And our listeners, thanks so much for sticking around with a long episode. I know for me, it was super worth it. And we'll, of course, see you in the next one.